You guys hear me? Oh my god. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry. I'm on the piece of crap computer. The one that won't let me ever do anything. I figured I'd be able to get away with reading the book because I'm not showing videos or anything, but holy hell. You can see and hear me? Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, there was a song that kept playing and it wouldn't stop. Like it just wouldn't. My son's laughing at me. Where the hell's the picture go? Yeah, I can't wait to get my laptop. So my laptop, I ended up sending it off to FedEx today. I went down and I got the box and everything, and I shipped it off. So hopefully, very soon, mom of six. Yeah, hopefully soon I get it, like ASAP, because this I can't use this. I can't deal with this shit. No. Hey Alberta, and hey Zuna, hey Triple Threat. Who else is in here? Hey Cool Gamer. Hey Running Angry Wolf. Dragon Mama. Nice to see you guys. I haven't done this in so long. Oh no, Alberta. Oh my god, I hate hearing that. It breaks my heart. I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing, but I tend to think maybe not because I you know when you watch movies and people die in those movies, I can watch that, but if I hope you don't lose her. If you do, I'm so sorry. I don't have the words, honestly, to tell you how I would even deal with that. Thank you, my dear. There was this cute old lady. So I was in Shoppers Drug Mart and she was behind me and she goes, I'm sorry, I have to ask, is that your real hair? And I went, she goes, that's fake. I'm like, yeah. So of course I took it off and I showed her and she's like, that is amazing. She's like, that we have. And all of a sudden I told her I started laughing. And then I've got like these circle ones that just like a hairband. And then I've got this other one with just like one line. She's 11 and well loved. I bet she's well loved. So anyway, she was so cute. She's like, "Well, where did you get yours?" So I told her where I got mine, and she's like, "I'm gonna order some because see this hair? She had like really short hair. It was really thin, like mine. She's like, I'm gonna get some. It's like, go for it, go for it. They're so easy to maneuver as long as you don't get those clip-in ones. They're a pain in the ass. From where? I got mine from this one's from Amazon. The other ones I got, like I got this here. which is like a scrunchie. Yeah. So if you put it in a, you can just put it up here like that and it'll look like it's my hair. My hair got really thin because of the medication I'm on, so even though I'm taking biotin and stuff, it's, I don't know, my nails are kind of like, they are growing, but it's just my hair that's I'm having an issue with. You may have all yours chopped off soon. It's so hot, I'm surprised I haven't yet. Okay, we're on chapter 14, but I'm going to read the end of the last chapter just so we can kind of figure out where we are. Yeah. Okay, this is when they're in the truck. Hey, SD. Oh my God, we need to talk. We need to talk. I found out some horrible shit that's going on where I live. I don't know if it's still going on, and it's the stuff that we've been talking about. And there was, it's involved in Prescott, Toronto, Cornwall, and Ottawa. Disgusting. So, anyways, we need to talk. Okay, so the weather was stormy during the entire trip. It snowed so hard that Rich had trouble seeing the road in front of him, and at one point the truck slid clear off the highway and into a snowbank on the shoulder. So this is Rachel with her husband Rich in the truck with kids in the back with no heat. You're too lazy to do a messy bun, so I bought a scrunchy messy bun. Yeah, it works better, right? You're waiting for your 28th and 29th order from Temu? That's amazing. I only ordered from them twice, but the stuff I got, like, well, that's where I got that one scrunchie from, and I got another one from there. They were only like $2. Oh, else did I get? Oh, I got my son bandanas. So Rich tried repeatedly to get the truck back up the road, but the wheels spun uselessly, sinking farther and farther into the snow. We were stuck. Rachel, get in the back with the children and tell them they must be silent. We could get in a lot of trouble if someone finds out they're back there. There wasn't a child seat or a safety belt to be had in the back of the truck. Ooh, that sounds so pretty. That's awesome. Yours will be your fourth. I love the bags there too. Oh my god. There's a few of them that I really wanted to wear. They were like $30. And the shoes, when I'm rich. Without question, because he was my priesthood head, the man who was head of the household. Before I was married, father was my priesthood head. Lie down, I said to the children, we have to be very quiet. I pulled out the blankets we had in the truck over them and told them to snuggle close together for warmth. After a while, I heard a police car pull up and an officer giving Rich instructions through the driver's side window. The children shivered silently, half with cold and half with fear of being discovered. What a terrible life. Yeah, Dragon Mom is obsessed with like gel pens. 20 minutes later, my muscles began to cramp from the cold. I tried to gather the children in even closer. Some of them needed to use the bathroom. Most of them were now shivering violently. I didn't know how much longer we'd be able to keep this up. Wouldn't you think if you have to cover your children in the back of a truck and hide with them because of a police car, there's something wrong? Like, I don't know. I didn't know how much longer we'd be able to keep this up. It took Rich and the policeman more than an hour to get the truck out of the snow. We were back on the road. I stuck my head through the back window. I know we can't all fit in the cab, but the children have to get warm. Rich allowed all the children to squish into the cab with the adults to warm up. It took us more than 20 hours to get to South Dakota, a 15-hour drive in good weather because of the storms. But after nearly a year in the house of hiding in Las Vegas, I was so grateful to be heading back to where the children had room to live and play and in the sunshine again. Chapter 14. Oh, this one's titled The Good Years. Richard wants you in our room, Gloria said to me the second night after we got back to South Dakota. Things had changed at R23 since we've been gone. Rich had lived alone with his youngest wife, Gloria, the whole time, and now they had a baby. They were sharing a home with another family, which now left us with a total of 3 rooms for 12 children and 4 adults. That's insanity. Rich had Molly take half the children in one room with her and the other half with me in another room. Rich and Gloria shared a room with their baby, which meant he had to let Gloria know when he wanted to sleep with one of his other ladies, hence our room. That was hard for her after having him to herself for so long. They have gorgeous boots too. I was going for the mule. I love mules. My first thought was, sorry, Gloria, we have as much right to him as you do. I did understand how she felt, though I struggled with the fact that she shared a room with her husband. None of the other ladies had ever gotten to share a room with Rich full time. I went to my husband with a different way of thinking than I had before my time away from him. I would always be kind and receptive to him when he called for me, but I was done letting his decisions run my emotions. Just as I had decided not to fight with my sister wives anymore to save my own sanity, I now resolved that I would not fight for Rich's attention. I would not seek him out as I had in the past. From now on, he would have to be the one to come to me. He would have to make the effort to win my love. And heels. I love boots and heels. Oh my God. I was going to be a lot more careful about what I said to Rich as well. Before Vegas, I treated him like my best friend and closest confidant, openly expressing how I felt, whether I was angry or jealous or upset about something one of my sister wives had done. Looking back on it, I realized that had always gotten me into trouble. It is what got us all sent away. It took me a long time to learn that lesson, but that year in Vegas had matured me. I wouldn't indulge those feelings anymore, but if I did have them, I sure wasn't going to tell him. Thanks, Walt. Within a month, we had moved into the duplex again, having a full apartment for our family. And when Trish and Susan returned to South Dakota a few months after we did, the family was finally whole again. The ladies were so happy to see their children, and the children were delighted to have their mothers back. We all seemed to get along better since our experience in Vegas. We all shared everything: our home, our food, our children. I couldn't. Right? Yeah, like dead on, eh? That's crazy. You've been bugging about fall for a while. It's like ever since summer started. Dragon's like, I want the fall. I want the fall. Shoot, now I forget where I was. Still, it was hard to quell the jealousy that reared up in my heart when Rich slept with another wife. It was hard to get past the sense of betrayal. How could a man profess his love for one wife, then happily take another into his bed the next day? That's a good question, Rachel. I had to remind myself that none of us chose the situation. Rich did not choose his wives, and we did not choose him. All I could do instead was to try and appreciate the fact that Rich loved all his family. Within a month, we had moved into the duplex again, having a full apartment for our family. And when Trish and Susan returned to South Dakota a few months after we did, the family was finally whole again. The ladies were so happy to see their children, and the children were delighted to have their mothers back. We all seemed to get along better since our experience in Vegas. We all shared everything: our home, our food, and our children. Rich made a family schedule every week, with the wives taking turns making meals, cleaning the house, and tending the children. The equal division of labor and the added benefit of making the children less selfish and more sociable because they dealt with so many people on a continual basis. As a result, the next few years were the happiest of married. You've not had summer yet. It's hot. Yeah, it is too hot here, Alberta. Yeah. Right now, it's down to 26. Every single day, it's been like in the 30s. Who wants to help me feed the cows? Rich asked the children after breakfast. He was extremely kind and a loving father, and made an effort to do things with them whenever he could. I do, the children it said. Hurry and help to do the breakfast dishes, then you can come with me. The children rushed around, clearing off the tables, wiping down high chairs, and sweeping floors while Rich hooked the trailer to the four wheeler. Sorry, I don't mean I'm dragging a little bit. When the children finished their chores, they ran outside to join their father. Rich had made benches for the trailer for them to sit on. I was pregnant again, so I stayed behind to look after Rich and Gloria's baby Shirley, so that Gloria could go along to help tend the children. After Rich had finished the animal chores with the children, he brought Martha down to my room for a nap. He lay on my bed next to her and asked her to sing a song to him. She launched into the hymn Angry Words, but she didn't know all the words. From the tongue unbridled slip is a mouthful for a toddler, and her acting the song was the cutest thing ever. I'm signing in and out. Come here, Mother Rachel, Rich said, patting the bed next to them. I went over and sat down. Rich took Martha's little hand and placed it in my growing tummy. Do you feel that, Martha? Mother is going to have a new little baby. Martha laughed in delight as the baby's foot kicked in her little hand. Barbie, who had been lying on her own bed, came over to feel it too. The girls could not wait to meet their new sibling. That's crazy. So now she's on baby number 3. Now you can walk around in undies. I know. I won't be doing that for a long time. My kid's only 12, so. I spent the last few months of 2007 getting bigger and composing music for everyone to sing on Rich's birthday in January. It had been a hit with Rich last year, and this year we would be in the same place with Rich so we could sing it to him in person. The sister wives had agreed to make all the girl children matching green dresses for the birthday program. A program? And we shared the sewing, wrote among us. A birthday program. Doesn't that sound strange? Susan taught school for all of the older children in a small shed at Sutter House. I taught preschool and kindergarten during recess. I gathered all the children together to rehearse our birthday songs. I think the children enjoyed the special time we shared as much as I did. Father was kinder that year as well, maybe being locked up in the Purgatory Correctional Facility. Yeah, it's really called that. 30 miles northwest of Short Creek in southern Utah had chastened him for or softened his heart. No. Father still sent the people messages from prison. It's even saying in this damn book what's going on. They need to stop this piece of crap. Yeah, it is a cult, I know. Father still sent people messages from prison and passed along through phone calls or letters, and the people still followed his word. He sent several messages for my handmaid Rachel, asking for my forgiveness again. Other times he sent stern messages of correction, but he was generally less strict than he had been. He may have been somewhat distracted by the preparations for his trial on charges of R as an accomplice, which began September 10th, 2007. Yes, it is Alberta and Stella, yeah. I'm reading this book, and this book is written, it's called Breaking Free: How I Escaped Polygamy, FLDS Cult, and My Father, Warren Jeffs. So she wrote this. It's, yeah, I would really hope that for some reason Warren goes into general pop. The star witness was Alyssa Wall, who had been married at the age of 14 to Alan Steed. Steed was her first cousin and 19 years old at the time. Father had performed the wedding at the same hotel where I was married, making a perfect snapshot of what living in the church was like. Alan Steed testified in Father's defense. Wow, he better effing pay hard. All of them, all these sons of bitches. When Steed was asked by the prosecutor, if you were told by the prophet to disobey the laws of man, would you do it? He said, I would. Steed was later charged with felony R, but a plea deal. Oh, you bastard. But a plea deal resulted in a lesser charge of solemnizing a prohibited marriage and just a month in jail. Right? The prophet, Warren Jeffs, decides to marry first cousins. She's 14 and I don't even know how old he was. It doesn't actually say. I'm assuming an adult. Father was convicted on both counts, and 2 months later, the judge sentenced him to 2 consecutive sentences of 5 years to life in prison. He still faced charges in Arizona as well as federal charges of unlawful flight. When I first started reading this book, I ended up having nightmares. It wasn't me that was being harmed; it was the children. I don't know. It was like I was somehow in this. It was what I read that messed me up. So I got nightmares because I. Oh, thing keeps that note. I watched that movie. Keep away. I wish. Uh, Ellen did nothing to lessen Father's position of the church. In fact, he was still controlling every aspect of people's lives. Like, he shouldn't have any connection to the outside world. In January, he sent a message that he wanted me to go to the land of refuge in Texas to stay with his family while out. He is the cult leader. Why is he still giving orders? This is 2007. I'm not sure how. I don't know what this date goes to. Like, what's the last date of this? But even still, him sitting in prison, he's still doing it. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching Keep Sweet and Obey. But I mean, I don't know. You can try, but at that part where they say they're going to show or they're going to let you listen to the tape and his heavy breathing, trust me, don't do it. I didn't know. I wish I would have learned. He talks to his brother and his brother relays the messages. How is it we know that? So the inside must know that. How is that okay? I don't understand that. I was due February 29th, though I had already decided I wasn't giving birth on leap day because that was my birthday. So my mother made it for March 1st because I was born in a leap year. It was either keep the 29th or keep March 1st. At least March 1st, I'd have a birthday every year. Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I like her. And she, I don't want to say who it is in case she didn't want me to tell anybody, but it is a she. And she did say that she thinks Katie Joy Paulson is a predator. Yeah. Hey, expert. Yeah, finally catching me live, eh? My laptop's in the shop, so I'm on this thing here, which keeps cutting out. Yeah, they believe he's a prophet. So Rich drove me down and returned to the family in the Black Hills of South Dakota. But I didn't mind that he had to go back. I was so happy to see my brothers and sisters again. I hadn't seen them since the summer of 2005, so that was 2 years ago. since the time I was there, with many new home. It's that temple. When I watched that movie, Keep Sweetin' Away, that temple. Oh my God. That temple's hell. Don't worry. Would I be better on my phone? That's why I keep making videos on my phone. It's a lot better than this, right? I think so too, Dragon. Yeah, probably is the heat too. I've seen the escaping girls, and they're so indoctrinated that they take pictures with Jeffs from Well and take it as a treasured item. Ah, it's shocking how much perseverance they have for Nan. And Amber Alert in Kelowna, really? I haven't had one in a while, which is good. That night, I lay on my sister Angela's bed with her while she told me what had been happening during the last couple of years, since I had not been allowed any contact with them. Father had ordered that there be no communication between the different lands of refuge, since everything at all times was a secret. You could only know what happened on any particular land if we're telling my little sister that we had cows in South Dakota. And Angela and I stayed up all night. She told me that before Father was caught by the authorities, he had married off our sister Teresa the day after to oh my gosh. So she married what the okay, so this prophet Warren had Teresa, which is Rachel's sister, married to her other sister Angela's husband. Wouldn't that be like incest? Incestuous, a little bit at least. Oh, that's the only ones I've been getting. Still, honestly, yes, is kids getting kidnapped by their own parents. That's the ones I keep getting, and a lot of them are being returned. But then there's some that are I don't know because they don't give you updates. I wish they would and tell you, yes, this one that it was missing has now been found. Or a lot of times we don't get the updates on that, and I don't like that. Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this one was far fetched. Mary. So, okay, she told me that before Father was caught by the authorities. He had married off her sister, Teresa, the day after she turned 15, to Angela, my other sister's husband, Raymond Jessup, who was also married to my sister, Marianne. What the hell? As well as two of my cousins, two of my aunts, and two Musser girls, Mary and Mary. No, Mary and Marie. So Teresa had to negotiate life as a plural wife, raised ninth at such a young age. At first, I was surprised since Father had allowed his other daughters to wait until they were 18, or at least very close to 18. But it made worse sense when I remembered those little girls' fathers had married. But it made more sense when I remembered those little girls' father had married himself. Then, 3 months after Father was arrested, he had Raymond Jessup sent away from his family, which meant my sisters had no husband. So Father had all three move back in with his family. Angela had to have her baby without her husband, and the stress of that caused complications during the birth at home. She ended up having a C section in the hospital to save her life and the babies. I thought they didn't believe in hospitals. Oh, please let me know how that goes, Alberta, because I need help in that too. Well, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know about Gatorade. That is a lifesaver. But still, we need to get checked and have this stuff. Yeah. I'm really sad this all happened to you, I said, but I'm glad I get to spend some time with you. We both told stories of our sister wife struggles, and Angela told me how hard her married life had been. Like me, she had been on the receiving end of her sister's wives' jealousy because they thought their husband Ray loved her the most. Despite how hard it was to hear certain things, it was also fun and comforting to be able to pour my heart out to Angela and share the thoughts and feelings I kept deep within me all this time. Really? Ever did Botox? Apparently, I don't know, I read this somewhere, but apparently, Botox is supposed to help with, yeah, it's supposed to help with migraines. I read that somewhere. Or somebody, you probably told me. Somebody told me, or I read it somewhere. Also, peppermint oil on temples and smelling it helps as well. I have peppermint oil. They marry mothers, sisters, daughters, cousins, etc. They like it because they're all in the same family and it strengthens their hold of the family. Too hard to extract yourself because you have no support. Yeah, I agree. The next few weeks were happy ones. Sorry, my keeps going in and out. Yeah, birth defects for sure. You would think. The next few weeks were happy ones for me. I spent lots of time with my other sisters and gossiped and laughed late into the night. Mother Annette came into her room one night, acting like she was sleepwalking. Try that too, Mama Six. Yeah, definitely not near the eyes. Yeah, I've tire bomb and I've done that. I've actually put tire bomb on like right here, some here and some there. And yeah, it was too close to my eyes and my eyes would water constantly. That was my dumbass. So Mother Annette pretended like she was sleepwalking. She held her hands out and oh my gosh. She held her hands out in front of her and walked in an unstable, crazy manner. Yeah, don't have icy hot. I tried Tiger Bomb, but that's really strong. One day I was walking, sorry, one day I was taking a walk with Angela when we ran into Tina Steed, an old friend of mine, on a dirt road. Tina showed off her two beautiful children, a boy around 2 years old and a baby daughter. She told me that when her son was just a few weeks old, father had told her she was unworthy and made her leave the lands of refuge to repent, leaving her baby behind. How could he separate a tiny, helpless baby from his mother like that? Father had let her return after her son was a year old. Ella Father's family took time out of their days to come see me. I had missed them all so much. I spent most of my time sewing with Teresa and Josie. Josie had kept most of Mother's belongings, so we went through it all together. Josie wanted me to take a lot of it, but the memory of Mother was still hard on me because of all that she had gone through with her illness and being separated from her children. I use ice packs on the back of my neck. Yeah, that's one thing I always do. And now Gatorade and lots of pills. Advil, Tylenol, both. Even though Teresa was married, once she went back to live in Father's house, everyone treated her like a child. She wasn't allowed to make her own choices or be responsible for herself. Both she and Angela still loved Ray and they missed him. Marianne missed him some, but had a lot of struggles with jealousy and didn't know if she wanted to go back to him. In fact, her struggle with jealousy over Ray spending time with his other wives was the reason Father had sent him away. It was all a big mess. I got to spend time with my brothers during their meal times too. Why? Only during meal times. So that tells me, or what I'm thinking is the reason why is because, you know, what they might hit. That's sick. I got to spend time with my brothers during their meal times too. They were required to eat downstairs away from father's wives and daughters so that they would not be tempted to look look at or like other girls. Yes, Excedrin from the States. You guys got if you're from the States, you get the good stuff. But yeah, that one's supposed to work. The boys shared bedrooms down one hall and the girls down another, and each group was prohibited from entering the other's area. Married sisters were allowed to talk to the brothers as long as we didn't get caught doing it too often. That's sick. Yeah, I'm the same way with you. Same. Advil and Tylenol might as well be sugar pills. Normally, so now I get over the counter Tylenol ones. I usually have to take like 4 of those with a nice pack and Gatorade, and then go lay down. It is sickening. Oh, we're getting into pictures now. Rich came down to Texas to be with me a week before my due date, bringing my 2 little girls with him. Father's family were so happy to see them, and everyone was intent on spoiling them every chance they got. I was glad to have my husband and daughters with me. I had asked the midwife if there was any way to induce labor before February 29th. She gave me, I don't know how to pronounce this, it was in a drug to induce her anyway, and several other drugs, but nothing worked. And then when, at 4 o'clock in the morning on leap day, I had my first contraction. God was, I guess what I want doesn't really matter because we're having a leap baby, I said to Rich. I figured that if this baby was like the first 2, it wouldn't come out until I was almost dead from pushing. In the end, the labor was a little easier than it had been with Martha, but even so, I was very glad when it was all over. My new baby son weighed 8.5 pounds and he was perfect. That's a big baby. How is it spelled? CYTOTEC. Here, I'll write it in here so you guys can see it. No, not that one. That's the main one that I would think the Lenny Gray. No, this one is. Oh yeah, that's right. I would have thought too, but it's not. Oh my god. My mouse is stuck. Now it's saying I'm. Sorry about that. Again, am I back? Can you guys see and hear me again? I'm frozen. Damn it. Anti-inflammatory and used to prevent ulcers. How the hell is that going to bring on birth? I'm sorry for this. Eat as much as I can. I'm just going to wait till I get my laptop to go live again. There's a couple things I wanted to do. I'm okay now. Sorry about that. Hopefully I get my laptop back like really, really soon. That thing is amazing. But there's a lot, there's a couple of lives I would like to do. I've already got, it's the stuff we were talking about. I wanted to go live about it. Actually, I'm going to see if the Reddit group will somebody want to come on with me, or somebody in this area where I live, they want to come on with me and discuss this, because like I didn't know. It causes cervical softening and dilation and uterine contraction, so it's off label use. Ah. Oh my god, that's funny. You talked broke my water. I soaked the bed, 5 nurses, 2 doctors on the floor, pushed 3 times, and the kid flew out. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna shut. Father had sent a message with instructions what to name the baby. That makes me angry. He has no right. I'd really hoped I'd be able to name this child, especially since father was in prison, but Rich was loyal to father as ever. Ugh. She named him Rulon. Yeah, I could do that. Yes, but I just feel bad because, like, you're talking to a blank screen. I don't know if it will work or not either. I don't know. This computer is just not. Rulon, not like the deodorant. He is the head honcho of this cult, who's now passed on. He was Warren Jeffs' son. No, sorry, father. Rulon Jeffs. Oh my gosh. Okay, hopefully this works better. Bambi, Thumper, and Blueberry. Jeez, I thought the name December was bad. Oh my gosh, my son told me a while ago, he said one of his friends in school, his poor name, this poor kid's name was Leaf, like a tree. Why would you do that to your child? I mean, I feel bad for him. He's definitely going to get made fun of. The drug is very dangerous. I wouldn't doubt it. I'd like to know how they get it. Your sister's April. I have an aunt April. Is this better with my face not showing? Hopefully. All of father's large family wanted to meet the new baby. There had been some bad viruses going around that winter, so the midwife did her darnest to keep the sick children away from the baby. But with so many people, now take off the scrolling. Okay. Smart. Thank you. Hopefully this. Okay, let me know if this is better. The expert. You were teased too. Aw. All right, you have a great night, Mom of Six. There, hopefully this is much better. Rich wanted us to head back to South Dakota a few days later. The what? Rich wanted us to head back to South Dakota a few days after the birth. Yeah, well, it's 6:35. Technically past supper time. Before we left, I went looking for my sister Angela in the room. I'm going to keep your phone number just in case I need it, I told her. And you keep mine just in case you need it. It was a direct violation of Father's orders, but I think we'd both been through enough at Father's hands being separated from our families that they were willing to risk it. Oh, good. So it's no more crap. Thank you for letting me know that, the expert. I didn't even think of that. So thank you. Okay. Let's, Angela said, but we can't let anyone know. At least text me some, okay? Okay. We were back home for less than a week when a nurse on the land had some medical supplies, including an oximeter, to measure the baby's blood oxygen levels, which hovered in the mid to upper 70s as he struggled to breathe. The nurse kept him on oxygen in an effort to raise the saturation closer to 100 where it should be. She also managed to get her hands on, I can't pronounce this antibiotic, which she injected into his leg. It was wrenching to see my newborn suffer so. As the days passed, his condition deteriorated and his weight dropped. Please, can we take him to the hospital? I asked Rich several times. He needs a doctor. Rachel, you know that we have been instructed to give the children a blessing and do all we can at home. Let's keep working with him here. Oh, hell no. I'd be punching my husband in the face, taking my baby, and going to the hospital. The antibiotic didn't seem to be helping, which made me think it may have expired. I just agreed and stopped giving him the injections. I would have to rely on my knowledge of natural healing to help him. I breastfed him as much as possible, kept him near a humidifier at all times, placed warm onion packs on his chest, and gave him drops of garlic oil. Over the next 2 weeks, baby Rulon slowly improved. Wow. My spirits soared when I knew that my son would be okay. And then on the evening of April 3rd, I heard the family phone beep as I was walking through the living room. It was a text from my brother, Amon. I nearly dropped the phone when I saw the photos he'd sent. I wrapped Rulon in a warm blanket and ran to the watchtower to find Rich. Yeah, you never get between a mother and her child. Never. Okay, I have enough time. I'm going to read one more chapter. This one is chapter 15, and this one is called The Raid. Hey, you, good morning. Rich pulled me onto his lap and kissed my cheek. Let me see my little man. Rich uncovered baby Rulon's face and started cooing at him. I dug the phone out of my pocket and held it up. Look at this. It's from Amon. Rich took the phone and scrolled through the photos of police cars and men in SWAT gear and camouflage their weapons out at the gate to R17. This looks bad, Rich said, and immediately dialed Merrill Jessup, the bishop there. Is everything okay, Rich asked. We are surrounded by police and Texas Rangers, Merrill said. We're trying to find out what they want. Merrill got off the phone quickly. That's it, I said. He has his hands full, sounds like. I'll find out more as soon as I can. Rich, my family. There's nothing we can do from here, Rachel. They'll need our prayers. Go tell the family to pray for the people in Texas. My heart hurt as I thought of all my family members. I loved them all so much. I walked back to the house to tell the others what was happening. All day we waited for word, but nobody called. Around 10 p.m., I took the family phone down to my room and secretly texted my sister Angela. I couldn't bear not knowing what was going on. Are you okay? We are all in a big cement building with hundreds of cots trying to get the children to sleep, Angela wrote. Why are they doing this? Hey, Benita. Oh, she's another monster, Alberta. I don't know, but I can't let them know I have this phone. I'll call you when I get a chance. A few minutes later, Amon called. I'm hiding in a shower stall, he said in a muffled voice. I'm so glad you called. I've been so worried about everyone. They said that they got a call from an underage girl named Sarah Jessup Barlow. saying she was married and had a baby, Amon said. But there is no Sarah Jessup Barlow on the land, so we know they aren't telling us the truth. I'm sure it was just an excuse to get on the land and find out what we were doing here. By the time the investigation found the caller and discovered it was a hoax perpetrated by a 33-year-old woman named Rosita Swinton in Colorado, the wheels of so-called justice had already been set in motion. The person who had taken the call passed it to the county sheriff's office, which in turn led to a judge signing a warrant for Sarah Jessup Barlow and her husband, her alleged abuser. That's what brought the law to the doors of R-17. Merrill told the officers that there was no such person as Sarah Jessup Barlow there. Nonetheless, he had no choice but to let Child Protective Services, with CPS caseworkers, interview some of the girls. Amon told me the CPS workers had first gathered up all the high school age girls at the school and questioned them each individually. Father had been so strict in teaching the people to keep our lives on the lands of refuge secret, some of the girls wouldn't reveal how old they were or even their last names, but most of them did and approved it with their birth certificates. The authorities were suspicious, so they decided to immediately remove some of the girls from the land, which they referred to as the YFZ Ranch. The next day, the CPS supervisor on site decided to remove all of the children, more than 400 of them in total. 400 children, saying that their mothers could come if they wanted to. Of course, they wanted to protect their children, and more than 130 women voluntarily went along. Fathers' underage wives had been sent to their own father's homes, so CPS wouldn't know they were married to them. But they were rounded up that night as well. The women and children, more than 500 people, were sent to several different facilities in El Dorado and San Angelo. At the Civic Center in El Dorado, where my siblings were, the mothers and older children were having trouble getting the younger children to settle down and go to sleep that first night because there were so many of them squeezed into one building, and it was very cold inside. The mothers asked the officers to turn off the air conditioning, but their request was denied. Over the next few days, Teresa, Josephine, Angela, and Amon took turns calling me late at night or in the wee hours of the morning from bathroom stalls, shower stalls, and under cots. CPS officials kept confiscating phones when they found them and told the people to turn in their phones or risk being searched, so Amon hid his. The state troopers wouldn't allow any of the mothers to contact an attorney either. One mother did leave the building to meet with an attorney, and when she came back, her children had been taken somewhere else and she was not allowed to see them. Have a good night, Red and Grey Wolf. My siblings reported that the children in custody were suffering in those cramped quarters. Many had fallen ill because it was so cold, and others became sick from eating processed food they were unaccustomed to. A case of chickenpox made the rounds in one location, too. There was no way to wash clothing, and a few people had had time to get extra when they were taken from the land of refuge, so people were forced to wear the same soiled clothing day after day after day. Two fathers' older wives had been off the land when the raid happened. When they went to where their children were being held, they were not allowed to see or speak to them. On April 9, 6 days after the raid, Amon phoned me again. They've gathered up a lot of the buses outside the shelter. We don't know what they are doing. If they don't find this phone, I'll call you later and let you know what's going on. You're under advisory too? I know, that's my biggest fear, is all that wildlife. And you know that the people that started those fires, there's people that actually started those fires. That's sick. Like, why the hell would you do that? I didn't hear anything further for 5 days. Since we had no television or radio, news reports going out to the rest of the world were unknown to us. Finally, my brother Levi called to tell me what the buses had been for. The authorities had told the women and children 6 and older that they and their children were going to be moved to another shelter. When they got to the new location, the mothers were told to go in one door and the children in another. The mothers were ushered into a room filled with waiting police officers, who informed them that their children were now in state custody. all of them are started by people, but most of them are. It's sickening. Right now, the air's not polluted, finally, but it keeps going. We live day to smoke. You can actually smell the smoke. It's horrible. You're so cute. Come here, Wilmian. When we got to the new location, the mothers were told to go in one door and the children in another. The mothers were ushered into a room filled with waiting police officers, who informed them that their children were now in state custody. But she was too upset to speak. She just sobbed into the phone. She had been taking care of mother's children as well as her own. You still have haze? Ours is gone for now. I hope it stays that way. Yeah, they should be, Dragon. I'm hoping hopefully they were found and do get sent to jail. Like, this is ridiculous. A couple weeks later, my sister Teresa got her hands on a phone, and she described to me what that day had been like for the children. When they were learned they were not to be reunited with their mothers, they were inconsolable, crying themselves to sleep and crying themselves back awake. It went like that for days. Some of them were so psychologically scarred by the experience they would never fully recover. I remember watching the movie Keep Sweet and Obey, and I watched this part where they raided that ranch and they took all the children away from their mothers. That I didn't agree with, because especially it was for the children. That I was really upset about, because yes, I guarantee it would have been psychologically scarring experience. I mean, like, they should allow them to be together. The young ones, especially, like, I don't know what age and up I would say that they can be separated, but oh man. You watched part of it? Well, happy birthday in 11 days. It only got worse. Officials had let children under 6 stay with their mothers at first, but then that changed too. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Angela called shortly after it happened to describe Rangers, police, and SWAT teams tearing the screaming children from their mothers' arms. Yeah, that I don't agree with at all. They damaged those kids by doing that. My sister Sandra was nursing her 1-year-old baby, hoping that would stop the men from taking her daughter, but they took the baby off of her breast and made Sandra leave the building. Wow. At the pavilion, where they were keeping the motherless children, the younger children were separated from the older children, again pulling little ones from the arms of their older siblings. Wow, yeah, that's sick. I couldn't begin to understand why they would be so cruel to these children, and in the name of protecting them. There. Hey, Brenda. Right, Alberta? Like, at least leave them with their siblings. What the fuck is wrong with you people? I tried to console my sisters, Marian and Sandra, but I knew nothing could give them comfort besides God and his angels. I could only imagine how I would feel in their shoes, and thank God that I had left Texas when I did. My little brothers and sisters were out there alone and afraid, and I was far away with no way to help them. My young children could have been there too. Father sent a message after the raid instructing all the mothers and children to leave the other lands of refuge. R1 in Mancos, Colorado, and R23 in Pringle, South Dakota, in case authorities were planning similar raids. Rich moved our family to a house of hiding in Colorado, not far from where his brother David was living, so he could look after us, since Rich had returned to R23. Before he left, Rich bought me my own phone so I could stay in touch with my siblings. Mother Annette snuck a phone to Teresa in a sock, so Teresa and Josie called me almost every night. The calls usually came through around 1 a.m. or later. My sisters told me what life for them was like in the shelter. Questioned them about sexual things they knew nothing about. The staff treated them all like helpless little children. Dawn and Angela kept in touch regularly as well. Okay, so they're brother and sister. Rachel's brother and sister. The state had decided some of the adult mothers were underage, including my sister Angela, even though she was 19, and had proven so with her birth certificate, so they kept her in a shelter with their son. Angela told me there wasn't enough caretakers to look after all the babies, so many of them were left in their cribs for hours, undressed and unattended. Wow. Sometimes the babies went hungry. Angela did her best, but there was just too many of them. This is heartbreaking. I'll go in your suitcase, Brenda. I've never been to Texas. My heart broke for my family. I prayed that my brothers and sisters would be safe and reunited with their mothers soon. I blamed Father for marrying underage girls and requiring other men in the church to do so as well. Good girl. I never liked how Father insisted we keep everything secret. It seemed to me that if you have to hide something, it must be wrong. Yes, girl. Scream it from the rooftops. Because Father had so thoroughly convinced the people to keep their lives secret, the children were forbidden to tell their own truth, and now they were paying for it. The world to be suspicious, and many stories about our people were blown up by the media, or were often utterly untrue. Texas men are so cute. By the middle of the month, the state had started placing the children in shelters all over the state. Their mothers were allowed to supervise visits, but the children were spread all over Texas. It could take a whole day to drive from one child to another. I learned later that the public initially thought the raid was a good thing, that the state was protecting these underage girls. Yeah, that I would think too, protect the underage girls. It was a hoax. I'll have to look at that. But when the media showed images of screaming children being forcibly removed from their own mothers, hundreds of people outside the church phoned and emailed the governor's office to protest what they had done to us. For once, I had something in common with the outside world. I also blamed the state of Texas. They could have arrested the guilty men and done their DNA testing without taking the children away. Yes, I totally agree with that. That would have been the best option, exactly, what this girl is writing here, Rachel. This is exactly what they could have done. Yeah, arrest the guilty men and leave the mothers with their children. Because that part I don't see as wrong. I see it wrong as underage girls having children, absolutely. But it's already said and done, so just leave the babies with their mothers. Leave the children with their mothers and arrest the men. That's the problem here. Instead, the children were kept in shelters for 2 months. Oh my God. My little sisters went weeks without bathing or changing their clothes or getting their hair brushed. While the children were neglected, their mothers were begging for the privilege of taking care of them. This is disgusting. Everybody's going home, Amon said in a phone call on June 2nd. The Supreme Court of the state of Texas had ordered that the children be returned to their mothers. Finally, my tears were of joy. A few weeks later, I went to Texas to see my family. My brothers and sisters were scattered all over San Antonio with their different mothers. It was wonderful to see them all. I couldn't get enough of everyone. If there was one upside to the raid, it was that it gave us all the opportunity to communicate with our family members in a way we hadn't been allowed to for years. It also allowed mothers to reunite with children they had been separated from by father several years earlier. I don't blame you. It's okay, Alberta. For the time being, Father let them stay together, although it would be as long as 2 years before some families returned to the land. What made me really angry was that while there were definitely things wrong with the church, not least that the girls were being married off younger and younger, law enforcement was put people. The mothers and children had no say in what happened to them. They were at the mercy of the church leaders, Father in particular. Separating them only hurt them more and increased their distrust of people from the outside the church. I totally agree with that statement because that's exactly what happened. Father was already in prison. He was the one who had perpetrated the crimes and caused the pain. The mothers and children were innocent. But just as Father's persecution made the people's belief in him even stronger, so too did the raid reinforce the belief that we were the true church. Days before the raid, Father had made a prediction from the Mohave County Jail, where he was waiting. waiting trial on the Arizona charges. Great tests and trials and great experiences is coming upon the people, Father had said. The state of Texas only made the people believe in Father and his teachings more. Jeez. The return of the children was a happy ending, but the story wasn't over. Many families stayed away from R-17 while the state continued to investigate, collecting DNA samples from parents and children, trying to establish which underage mothers had given birth to which children and who the fathers were. They got a warrant to get a sample from Father in his jail cell in Arizona. My sister Teresa, who was reunited with Mother Annette in Texas, found herself in the strange position of having her picture taken by the New York Times. Investigators had learned that she'd been married at 15 to Ray Jessup, so the judge granted her additional protection, which meant she was not allowed to have contact with her husband or with Father. It was a pointless order since Father was in prison and he'd sent Ray away months earlier. When the underage wife, Suzanne Jessup, was ordered back into foster care after the other children were released, when the authorities learned that she had been married to Father. From prison, he arranged to have Naomi Johnson, who was my sister wife, Trisha's mother, to be the foster mother. As soon as Suzanne turned 18 and no longer required a guardian, she joined Father's family, who were by then living at R23 in South Dakota. In the end, most of the children's cases were dropped. But for Father, it was the beginning of a whole new problem. In July, based on the evidence collected in the aftermath of the raid, Father was charged with sexual assault of a child. My father was no longer merely an accomplice. The state of Texas was going after him for R-ing his child brides. Good, sick son of a bitch. All right, I am going to stop there. I'm just over halfway done the book, so I'm going to do this again on Saturday. I'm going to do this every Wednesday. So Wednesday I won't show my face and I won't have trigger warning on. I'll just description and stuff. That way I can actually read and stop getting booted off. So thank you, the export. So I didn't realize that would help. They're going to babysit pets while family goes on vacation. Cool. I love pets. All right. I want you guys to have a great night. I want to read, what do you call it? So 7M did respond back to Katie. They were saying that because of all her objections and stuff like that, that it's not going to fly. Like, she has to answer. You know what I mean? You can't just, objection, relevance. Objection, journalistic privilege. You're not a journalist, Katie Joy. Sorry to tell you that, but you're not. The judge said plausible, and now there's a new judge. So what's this judge going to think of your horse shit? Anyways, I want to go through the filings. I found them. There's quite a few pages, but I found them on Balls 2.0 Instagram. So I was going to read those. Maybe I'll just make a video on it and you guys can watch it later instead of doing this because it's easier that way. I know it's on my phone and it's silly, but I mean, I want to keep making content until I get that. Yeah, objection. Did you read them, Brenda? I'm like, are you kidding me? Every 5 seconds, objection, relevance, objection, journalistic privilege. Like, get over yourself. All right, I probably will do this. What time is it? 7? I probably will do that later and I'll put the video out. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good night and I'll be back tomorrow with more KJ stuff because it just doesn't stop. All right, you guys have a good night and thanks for joining.